Some trucks did far more than carry loads. They helped build America and became true legends on wheels. Many of these machines once ruled the highways, job sites, and back roads, but today some are so rare that they are difficult to find even in museums. Yet their names still command respect among collectors and classic truck fans. Have you ever wondered which vintage trucks shaped the trucking industry and why they became so unforgettable? In today's video, we're taking a journey through the rarest and most legendary American vintage trucks of all time. From rugged workhorses to iconic highway giants, each one has a story worth remembering. Stay with us until the end, because the final truck may be the most impressive of them all. What if one of the toughest American work trucks ever built came from a company many people have forgotten today? Brockway 361 was introduced during the golden era of heavy trucking, built by Brockway Motor Company in Cortland, New York for one purpose: serious hard work. It quickly earned respect in construction fleets, fuel delivery routes, logging operations, and regional freight jobs where reliability meant everything. The 361 was available with powerful gasoline and diesel engine options, with many fitted with Cummins diesel engines producing roughly 220 to over 300 horsepower and strong low-end torque for heavy hauling. It was never built for speed, but depending on gearing, many highway versions could reach around 60 to 65 miles per hour while carrying serious weight. Buyers often paired it with 5-speed or multi-speed manual transmissions, sometimes with auxiliary gearboxes for better pulling power on steep grades. Heavy leaf spring suspension and rugged axles helped it survive broken roads, muddy sites, and non-stop daily punishment. Most models were rear-wheel drive, though specialized heavy-duty versions were produced for tougher applications. With its long hood, tall grille, and bold squared stance, the Brockway 361 had the kind of road presence people remembered instantly. The deep rumble of its diesel engine became a familiar sound across industrial towns and northeastern highways. Depending on configuration, gross vehicle weight ratings could exceed 50,000 pounds, making it a true heavyweight of its time. These trucks hauled everything from fuel tankers and dump loads to machinery and building materials. After Brockway production ended in the late 1970s, surviving 361 models became increasingly rare. Fully restored examples are now highly prized by collectors who respect old-school American engineering. It became legendary not for comfort or style, but because it was built to outwork almost anything beside it. What if one of America's toughest old work trucks was hiding in plain sight for decades on farms, city streets, and country roads? International Harvester Loadstar was introduced in 1962 by International Harvester and quickly became one of the most dependable trucks of its era. Built to be versatile, the Loadstar was designed for hauling, delivery work, municipal fleets, emergency services, and countless small businesses across the United States. It became especially popular in rural towns, farming communities, and local industries where reliability mattered more than style. Many models were powered by International gasoline V8 engines, including the famous 392 cubic inch unit, roughly 6.4 liters, producing around 190 horsepower and over 300 pound-feet of torque. Diesel engine options were also available for operators needing stronger fuel economy and long-term durability. It was never built for speed, but most versions could reach just over 60 miles per hour while carrying a full day's workload. Buyers often chose 4-speed or 5-speed manual transmissions, with optional auxiliary gearboxes for heavier jobs. Leaf spring suspension and a rugged ladder frame chassis helped it survive rough roads, farm tracks, and non-stop commercial use. Most models were rear-wheel drive, although 4x4 variants were produced for more demanding terrain and utility work. With its long hood, narrow cab, and clean body lines, the Loadstar carried a timeless American work truck look. Depending on configuration, gross vehicle weight ratings could exceed 28,000 pounds, making it a serious hauler in the medium-duty class. It served everywhere as a grain truck, stake bed, tow truck, fire truck, and even as a school bus chassis. Because many were worked hard and used until the end, clean surviving examples are surprisingly rare today. It became legendary not for luxury, but because it was the kind of truck people trusted to start early, work all day, and keep going for years. Few trucks in American history can be recognized from a distance as quickly as the Peterbilt 359. Introduced in the late 1960s, the 359 quickly became one of the most respected long-nose highway trucks ever built. Produced by Peterbilt Motors Company, it was created for owner-operators and freight fleets that demanded durability, power, and bold road presence. The truck made its name on cross-country freight routes, livestock hauls, flatbed work, and heavy long-distance transport across North America. Buyers could choose from Cummins, Caterpillar, and Detroit diesel engines, with many versions producing roughly 300 to over 500 horsepower, depending on year and specification. Torque figures often exceeded 1,500 pound-feet, giving the 359 the pulling force needed for steep grades and loaded trailers. It was built for work rather than speed, yet many highway setups could cruise around 70 miles per hour with proper gearing. Heavy-duty manual transmissions, including popular 13-speed and 15-speed options, gave drivers precise control on open roads and mountain routes. A strong chassis and dependable suspension helped many of these trucks cover huge mileage over the years of service. Most models were rear-wheel drive highway tractors, though vocational variants were also produced. With its long hood, dual chrome stacks, square cab, and polished grille, the 359 became an icon of classic trucking style. Sleeper versions were especially popular with long-haul drivers who lived on the road for days at a time. Depending on the configuration, gross combination weights allowed it to haul serious commercial loads nationwide. Because many were worked hard for decades, clean surviving originals are highly prized today. It became legendary not for luxury, but because it combined toughness, presence, and true American road character. Before aerodynamic trucks and digital dashboards changed the industry, the white Freightliner was already earning respect on highways across America. Built during the years when White Motor Company partnered with Freightliner, these trucks became known for strength, efficiency, and smart design. White Freightliner models were especially popular from the 1960s through the 1980s, when cab-over trucks were in high demand for long-haul freight. Their short overall length allowed fleets to maximize trailer space under strict road length laws of the time. These trucks made their name in coast-to-coast transport, refrigerated freight, container hauling, and major fleet operations. Buyers could choose dependable Cummins, Detroit diesel, and Caterpillar engines, with many versions producing roughly 250 to over 450 horsepower, depending on specification. Torque figures often passed 1,000 pound-feet, giving them the pulling force needed for loaded trailers and mountain routes. Top highway speeds varied by gearing, but many versions comfortably cruised near 65 to 70 miles per hour. Heavy-duty manual transmissions, including popular Road Ranger gearboxes, were widely used for maximum driver control. Most models were rear-wheel drive tractors with durable tandem axles built for commercial hauling. The cab-over layout placed the driver above the engine, improving visibility and making the truck highly maneuverable in tight yards and city docks. Their flat-faced front end, square cab, and classic grille gave them a bold, no-nonsense appearance. Sleeper versions became common for long-distance drivers spending days on the road. Because many were heavily worked and later replaced by conventionals, surviving clean examples are rare today. It became legendary not for luxury, but because it helped move America mile after mile with efficiency and toughness. There was a time when the sound of a hard-working diesel coming down the road meant serious business, and often it was the Mack B61. Introduced in the 1950s, the B61 became one of Mack's most respected models during America's booming freight and construction era. It was built for operators who needed strength for hauling freight, dump work, tanker service, logging, and regional transport. The truck earned its reputation on rural highways, busy city routes, and punishing job sites where reliability meant profit. Power came from Mack gasoline and diesel engines, with many popular diesel versions producing around 170 to over 211 horsepower, depending on year and setup. Torque figures could exceed 500 pound-feet, giving the B61 the pulling force needed for loaded trailers and steep grades. It was never built for speed, but many road-going versions could reach around 55 to 60 miles per hour, which was solid performance for its time. Buyers often chose 5-speed manual, duplex, or multi-stick transmissions that demanded real driver skill. Heavy leaf spring suspension and a rugged steel chassis helped it survive years of non-stop commercial punishment. Depending on configuration, gross vehicle weight ratings could range from medium-duty setups to over 50,000 pounds in heavier applications. Its rounded hood, upright grille, and strong fenders gave the B61 a bold appearance that stood out instantly. The famous Mack Bulldog emblem on the hood became a symbol of toughness and pride. Many units worked for decades, often staying in service far longer than expected. Clean surviving examples are now highly prized by collectors and vintage truck fans. It became legendary because it represented an era when trucks were simple, powerful, and built to outlast the job. Back when highways were ruled by long-nosed giants, the Ford LTL 9000 stood as Ford's answer to serious long-haul trucking power. Introduced in the 1970s and refined through the 1980s, the LTL 9000 became one of the most recognizable heavy-duty trucks ever built by Ford. It was designed for freight fleets, owner-operators, tanker work, flatbed hauling, and coast-to-coast transport where durability and comfort both mattered. The truck quickly earned respect across North America for its bold styling, dependable chassis, and strong engine choices. Buyers could order Cummins, Caterpillar, and Detroit diesel power plants, with outputs ranging from around 300 to over 475 horsepower, depending on year and specification. Torque figures often exceeded 1,400 pound-feet, giving the LTL 9000 the muscle needed for mountain grades and loaded trailers. It was built for highway efficiency rather than racing, yet many properly geared models could cruise comfortably near 70 miles per hour. Heavy-duty manual transmissions, including popular Road Ranger multi-speed gearboxes, were common among professional drivers. A strong ladder-frame chassis and durable suspension helped it handle years of commercial punishment. Depending on the setup, gross combination weights allowed it to pull serious freight loads across long distances. Its long hood, large rectangular grille, square headlights, and tall stance gave it unmistakable road presence. Sleeper cab versions became especially popular with long-haul drivers spending days and nights on the road. Many fleets trusted the LTL 9000 because it combined proven components with easy serviceability. As Ford later exited the heavy truck market, surviving clean examples became increasingly rare. It became legendary because it was one of the last great Ford big rigs built to compete with the best on the highway. If you spent time on American highways during the golden age of trucking, chances are you saw the Kenworth K100 hauling freight across the country. Introduced in the 1960s, the K100 became one of the most successful cab-over trucks ever produced by Kenworth. It was built for long-haul fleets and owner-operators who needed maximum trailer space while meeting strict highway-length laws of the time. The truck became a common sight in coast-to-coast freight, refrigerated transport, container hauling, and heavy commercial service. Buyers could choose Cummins, Caterpillar, and Detroit diesel engines, with many versions producing from around 250 to over 500 horsepower, depending on year and setup. Torque figures often exceeded 1,500 pound-feet, giving the K100 the pulling force needed for steep grades and loaded trailers. It was designed for endurance rather than speed, yet many highway versions could comfortably cruise near 65 to 70 miles per hour. Heavy-duty manual transmissions, including 10-speed, 13-speed, and 15-speed Road Ranger gearboxes, were favorites among experienced drivers. Its cab-over design placed the driver above the engine, improving maneuverability and allowing longer trailers behind it. The tilt cab also made engine servicing faster and more practical for fleet operators. Depending on configuration, gross vehicle weight ratings often reached well over 50,000 pounds, while tractor setups handled heavy combination loads. With its flat nose, tall cab, dual stacks, and clean lines, the K100 developed a style still admired today. Sleeper versions became rolling homes for drivers spending long weeks on the road. Many were worked hard for years, making clean surviving originals increasingly rare. It became legendary because it combined practicality, power, and unmistakable cab-over character in one unforgettable truck. Before modern heavy trucks took over the roads, the Autocar DC-100 had already built a reputation for strength where real work was done. Introduced during the mid-20th century, the DC-100 became one of Autocar's respected heavy-duty models for operators who needed durability above everything else. It was commonly used in construction fleets, fuel hauling, logging operations, dump work, and industrial transport across the United States. The truck became known for showing up in tough environments where lighter vehicles simply would not last. Buyers could choose powerful gasoline and diesel engine options from major suppliers, with many versions producing around 180 to over 300 horsepower depending on setup. Torque outputs often exceeded 500 pound-feet, giving the DC-100 the low-end pulling force needed for heavy trailers and loaded routes. It was built for work rather than speed, but many highway-capable versions could reach around 55 to 65 miles per hour, depending on gearing. Heavy-duty manual transmissions with multiple gear ranges were common, giving drivers better control under load. Its strong steel chassis, rugged axles, and leaf spring suspension were designed to survive punishing roads and non-stop commercial use. Depending on configuration, gross vehicle weight ratings could exceed 50,000 pounds in severe duty applications. With its long hood, upright grille, and no-nonsense styling, the DC-100 looked every bit like a serious work truck. Drivers respected it because it was simple to maintain and built to keep earning money. Many units stayed in service for decades, often in the harshest industries. Because they worked hard and were rarely preserved, surviving examples are uncommon today. It became legendary not through luxury or speed, but by proving itself where the toughest jobs never stopped. When cab-over trucks ruled America's freight lanes, the GMC Astro 95 was one of the boldest names on the road. Introduced in the late 1960s, the Astro 95 was GMC's premium cab-over tractor built for long-haul fleets and owner-operators who wanted power with futuristic styling. It quickly became a common sight on interstate highways, coast-to-coast freight routes, refrigerated transport, and heavy commercial hauling. The truck was designed to maximize trailer length under road laws of the era, making it highly valuable to freight companies. Buyers could choose trusted Detroit diesel, Cummins, and Caterpillar engines, with many versions producing roughly 250 to over 400 horsepower, depending on year and setup. Torque figures often exceeded 1,000 pound-feet, giving the Astro 95 the pulling force needed for loaded trailers and mountain grades. It was built for endurance rather than speed, yet many highway versions could comfortably cruise near 65 to 70 miles per hour. Heavy-duty manual transmissions, especially popular Road Ranger gearboxes, were widely used by professional drivers. Its cab-over layout placed the driver above the engine, improving maneuverability and allowing more cargo space behind it. The large tilt cab also made engine servicing easier for mechanics and fleet operators. Depending on configuration, gross vehicle weight ratings often exceeded 50,000 pounds, while tractor setups handled serious combination loads. With its curved windshield, sharp lines, and commanding front face, the Astro 95 looked far ahead of its time. Sleeper models became rolling homes for drivers spending weeks on the road. Many were worked hard and retired, making clean, surviving examples increasingly rare today. It became legendary because it mixed practical design, strong performance, and unforgettable 1970s truck style. These legendary trucks were more than machines. They were the backbone of an era and symbols of true American strength. Which one was your favorite, and which classic truck do you think deserved a place on this list? Subscribe for more rare vintage trucks, heavy machines, and transport legends from around the world.